Hey there, and welcome or welcome back. I'm excited to chat to you today about my experience being at King's studying psychology. I have a few things to say, mainly good things, so I'm really excited to share that to any of you who may be looking to either study psychology or study at King's and just want to know a bit more about it. I'm going to start off by talking more generally about King's and psychology as a whole. Whether this affects how you feel about a course or a uni, it is worth mentioning that King's is really good for psychology. We're a part of the research institute, the IOPPN, which I believe stands for Institution of Psychiatry, Psychology and Neuroscience. This is a world-renowned research centre. It really shows in the kind of teaching you get and the guest speakers that you have. There are so many resources and interesting stories from professors that you can gain from studying psychology here. And leading on from that, depending on the league table you look at, I know they do change, but for the Guardian league table, King's is second in the UK for psychology. Do with that what you will, some people don't care about those and that's totally fine, but I think it is fair to say that King's is a really great place to study psych. So leading on from that, it is interesting, at least for me, I don't necessarily want a career in psychology. It's something that I've always been really passionate about, really loved, so studying it has been amazing. But I don't necessarily want to go on to do a postgrad. I felt that psychology is often a course people do when they don't necessarily know what they want to do, which I'm really in support of because, oh my goodness, you learn so many transferable skills. You can learn so much that can apply to every different field because understanding human behaviour is always going to help you. So I felt that going to study this, there'd be a lot of people similar to me who don't necessarily want to do psych long term. But because of the nature of psychology at King's, how good it is, and how many opportunities you get to then continue doing psychology from studying here, most students actually do want a career in psychology who go to King's. At least in my experience in my year group, it was interesting to see most people actually wanted to do a placement year and do internships during the summer or all through their final year, which is really awesome to see. It's really cool that people are so passionate about this and it helps and it shows in group projects as well. But it can also be a little bit overwhelming for someone who doesn't want to study psych long term because you kind of feel like you should be doing something. Oh my goodness, everyone's getting these internship placements and I don't even know what I want to do next year. So there's a little bit of that, but I think overall it's a plus to be in a place where people really take the course seriously. Leading on from that, I will say there's a wide variety of modules at King's. When you study psychology, you are a part of the medicine campus. Because psychology is, well, it is a medicine. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but I stand by that. I will say a lot of the optional modules that you get in second and third year are very heavily science-based and clinical-based, which is amazing, especially like I said, most students want to go down those routes. But if you're doing psychology because you enjoy more of the social cultural sides, there definitely are modules for that, but perhaps not a majority of them. I know it changes every year, it's always worth looking on the actual website because they are actually going to tell you roughly what optional modules to expect. But for the most part, I definitely felt when I was picking out my modules for third year that so many of them were clinical and I was like, oh, I don't know. That being said, it's always going to be interesting. It's just more a case of how difficult it's going to be. I know when you look at the sort of genetics modules, those are always going to be trickier and I kind of just did not want to deal with that in third year. But yeah, that being said, there are still so many modules to pick from when it comes to your dissertation, which is conducting research and then writing up a report. There were so many projects to choose from. We were sent an e-booklet, so many projects, which is just each supervisor would do about 2 or 3 projects and you could apply to whichever ones you wanted. With that, there's always going to be a project to something you're remotely interested in. I actually did my dissertation in sports psychology, which of course is not heavily clinical or science-based. It was on talent identification in elite female athletes, which is really interesting. So there really is always something for everyone. I know also there were some supervisors who would give another slot with a rough idea of what you could study, but it's student-led. So there would be a sports psychology one focusing on eye tracking. I could then propose a study using eye tracking as a method, and it could literally be investigating anything. But that comes with a lot more work and initiative on your part, so maybe you don't want to do that, but it does allow for more flexibility if you don't see any project you like the look of. It's also worth noting, to do psychology, again at any uni, you do have to do maths, specifically statistics. Do not worry, because basically everyone who does psychology doesn't like doing statistics, so everyone's more or less in the same boat, but you do have to know how to do stats, because when you do research, you need to do data analysis. It's pretty much crucial. So for King's at least, we had 4 what's called research methods modules. So you do data analysis, and then you also do more general research methods, which is like understanding research designs and procedures and ethics. But you don't actually have to be great at maths, you just have to understand how to use the statistics software. I'm not good at maths, and most people who do psych are not doing it for the maths, so you don't need to worry about being amazing. And again, Kings are really great at giving you so much stuff to work with. And I remember getting like fat booklets of like complete run-throughs of how to do certain data analyses with the software that we use, which is amazing. So they really almost hold your hand through it, especially in first year. And then it makes it so much easier when it comes to your third year project, when you have to do data analysis, because you already have all of that knowledge, and then you'll just focus in on what like 2 analyses you need for your research. So yeah, don't let the statistics put you off at all. They really make it as easy as possible for you. And again, you can always chat with your peers, because everyone complains about research methods, so don't feel like you're behind anyone else. When it comes to coursework, there is a really wide range of coursework styles in psych. Again, I can't speak for any other course, I don't know if this is the norm. So there are research projects and essays, which are to be expected, individual and group presentations, which can be both oral presentations and also poster presentations, and also more general statistics worksheets. This really allows you to still get quite a high mark by playing to your strengths. You know, if all coursework was just essays and research projects, it could get very draining, especially if you don't enjoy writing research projects, which I really didn't. So it's great that there were a lot of presentations you could do. I know in final year there are also weekly quizzes for certain modules, which, can I just say, amazing way to get a high grade. 2 of my modules in final year, 40% of the final mark was on these weekly multiple choice question quizzes, of which there would be like 3 or 4 questions for each week. That was amazing. When you apply for your optional modules, they do tell you roughly what the assessment is. So if you can apply for some modules that have an assessment like that, listen, you just have a better likelihood of getting a high mark. That's all I'm gonna say. Next, again, not sure if this is universal for all courses in all unis, but there is a lot of emphasis on independent reading and learning. You know, you only have so many contact hours, and they decrease with every year that you're at uni, so it's really important to be proactive and to actively seek out more information. The lectures are kind of seen as the starting point for knowledge acquisition, and you shouldn't be just doing lectures and nothing else and expect to get a high mark. Even more than that, to get a first, you have to do more than just really understand the information. For psychology especially, because things aren't necessarily black and white, you know, there's not always a right and a wrong answer. You can't get a first just by writing an essay where you know everything really well and you kind of just recite what the lecturers taught you. No matter how well you've written it and how correct it is, you're gonna get those extra marks by actually displaying your own opinion and your own viewpoints on things. So they really value unique ideas and arguments. In fact, you'll probably get a better mark if you actively reject what you learn in like half of your module, if you have loads of research and arguments to back that up, because that really demonstrates that you understand that concept and that you've gone above and beyond what you've been taught. It's really cool that this is a degree where you're not just force-fed facts by your lecturers and you're not allowed to question them. They encourage you to question them and find your own voice and opinions, and you're rewarded for that. It's worth mentioning the more student life side of King's. There are so many societies, both activity and sport groups. There really is something for everyone, and it really is the place to learn new things and try out new things and meet new people, especially meeting new people, because I will say King's, like many many London unis can be quite isolating. There isn't a sole campus and you don't live on campus, so you feel a lot more detached from everyone else, and unless you're actively seeking out those friendships through societies and classes, it can be quite difficult to make friends. I definitely found that. Again, COVID did not help, but by third year, because I also got so busy, I didn't do any societies, so I was really limited to how I was meeting people. That is something to keep in mind, but with how many societies and opportunities there are, it is definitely possible to meet so many people on your course and on other courses, especially in first year if you're in student halls, because you will meet people in your flat. And also I believe that King's is one of the most diverse universities in the UK, which is always the case in London again, but I know they have over 150 nationalities in King's. Again, there's like a society for every single nationality. So yeah, it's really amazing to meet people from a load of different backgrounds. Also, it's worth mentioning something I found out more in my third year is that we have access to something called King's Careers Connect. We have access to that all through our degree, but I wasn't very proactive. I only found out about it in my final year. Basically, this is an amazing hub for opportunities for internships, jobs, and advice. You can meet an advisor for a general chat about what you'd like to do, and they can give you resources and advice. You can also have practice interview meetings where the advisor will just act as an interviewer, which is great if you're applying for somewhere else and you're nervous about how it's going to go. And there's also like a CV checker, so you can really get your CV as good as possible. It's just amazing. So it's really important to make the most of all these things that your uni will provide for you, and I do think King's is really great at giving you so much. But yeah, I feel like those are my main points. I kind of just rambled, so I hope that was clear. But yeah, as always with all my videos, I always love when people either comment or message me on Instagram with your King's questions. Regardless of where my YouTube content goes from here, I'll always be happy to answer questions on King's. I'm kind of going to be trying some different things and kind of seeing what sticks, because I'm a Gemini, so I like to go loads of different directions. But yeah, I hope you stay along for the ride, and if not, that's totally fine. Thank you so much as always for watching, especially if you've made it this far. I will hope to see you next week. Goodbye.